If you have a dog who loves to play with tags on toys, I have a game-changing toy that you can create really cheap. And then if they get it apart, you can fix it in a lot of cases, but you can also create more of them in a very cheap capacity. It's not something where you have to rebuy these toys over and over again. It does take a little bit of time and effort, but it's also kind of fun and relaxing to create, and anybody can do it. You don't have to have any skills to create this. So we are creating a tag toy for dogs, and all you need is 2 pieces of fleece fabric. Now you can go to any craft store and you can get that fabric. They even sell it at like Walmart. You can get cheap fleece, and I really like to go and look at the remnants. So I don't actually go in and pick out patterns. I don't have it on the bolt and have them cut it off. I go to the remnant section. That is when somebody has bought fabric off of a bolt and it's just the leftover. Oftentimes you can get it for cheap, and oftentimes they will have remnant fabric on like 50 to 70% off. So it will be the price that it is for that remnant plus an additional 50 to 70% off. So just bide your time and go look. Doesn't matter what the pattern is because it's just your dog eating it, right? So you need 2 pieces of fleece. I recommend 2 different kinds of fleece or colors of fleece because it's going to be a lot easier when you're creating these. So you want something that's patterned and something that's solid, or 2 different patterns or 2 different solid colors. It doesn't matter as long as you can see a distinguishable difference between these. All you have to do then is cut 2 squares the same size. You don't even have to go through the process of pinning it if you don't want to. You're just cutting out a square. Now I recommend pinking shears. It's going to make it shred a lot less, although fleece doesn't really shred that much. Like my dogs have really gone at it. It takes a lot to make a dent in fleece. So with that in mind, grab those pinking shears. So those are the little zigzaggy scissors if you need those, and you're just going to cut out your big square. Now this is going to be a larger size square than you think you're going to need, because the goal here is that you are actually creating a no-sew blanket as a tag toy. So with a no-sew blanket or with these tag toys, you're cutting out the square and then you're cutting on the inside. So you're going to create little strips of fabric on the outside of the square on all 4 sides. With that in mind, you are going to be tying those together. So the actual size of your toy is the inner square. So you need to leave enough of a gap that you can tie those things onto. So whatever size you want, you can pick whatever size. A foot on each side. You can do that. That's totally fine. You can go bigger. You can go smaller. Whatever works for your size dog. I have small ones. I have big ones. Your entire awareness of this is that whatever size you want for your dog, just add like 2 or 3 inches because you have to be able to tie those things. So then you are going to cut out a little square on each corner. So we no longer want this to look like a square. We want it to look like a square with chunks missing on each side because you're not going to need those sections. You're not going to be able to tie those. So just clip off a little square on each of those corners. Then you're going to go the length of each side and you're going to clip in little sections. And this is probably where you want to go about 1 inch wide on each of those so that your dog has a good place to grip. It's not going to rip off, but it's also not so thick that you can't tie it. So about 1 inch between each of those different cuts that you are making. Now, typically when I do this, I'm just doing it like the length of a single scissor cut. You can go deeper, you can go less, whatever works for you. But I find that if you have like a normal pair of pinking shears, you are then able to just do 1 clip, maybe just a little extra if it doesn't want to clip at the end. Sometimes it doesn't. To make sure that you have enough space to tie those. You're going to make all of your clips all the way around that square, and then you're just going to start by tying them together. So all the clips that match will be tied together. So as you have cut these, the best thing you can do is lay both of those pieces of fleece down on top of each other and cut it at the same time. So it is the exact same size. And then when you're all done, you're just going to start tying it, and you're just going to tie it in a knot and then tie it in another knot. And you can triple it if you want, but a double knot should be fine to hold for your dogs. You're going to go all the way around. Because we've cut the corners out, now you don't have a problem with those corners. So you're going to find that you end up with a square with kind of fringe on each side that your dogs can now pull on. So as they are then playing with this toy, if they manage to eventually get them untied, and it took my dog like months to get them untied, all you have to do is retie it. And if by some reason they manage to actually pick it apart so that it is a little bit of a problem, cut it off. It doesn't need to stay there. You don't have to keep any of those tags on. You can absolutely cut them off if they become a problem, if they become shredded, if it's something that you don't want your dog to have access to, just cut it off. Just cut it off. Now, if you want, you can actually level up your toy by putting something crinkly inside. I recommend you are using like a bag, or if you have some kind of wrapper for something, if you have like a wrapper from a paper towel roll, you can put that on the inside. Just be mindful. If the dogs do get those things untied, they could potentially get that plastic out. As long as it's big, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. And as long as you are paying attention, it shouldn't be much of a problem. But you don't even have to put crinkly things inside. It just depends on your individual dog. My dogs play with it just fine without the crinkly stuff. I had one version that was with crinkles at one point. They eventually got it out, and I took that part away from them, but I could have easily put it back in and retied it. At that point, I just threw it away because we didn't need it. And so these are really good because they're cheap and easy for you to make. They're fun for dogs to play with. If they untie it, you can retie it. If they break part of one of the tags, you can cut it off. It doesn't matter. And then they have other things that they can discover as well. If, by the way, they did chew some of these off and you now have a little bit of a gap or a hole, stick their toy in it. Stick their toy in it and make them get their toy out of this fleece contraption that you have. They'll have the tags to play with. They'll have whatever toy you have put on the inside, and they're going to have to figure out, enrichment guys, how to get those out to play with the toy. There's lots of options for this, and it's cheap and it's easy and it's effective, and you don't have to keep buying a bunch of toys for your dog to be playing with because they keep destroying them. It's just easy for you to do, and it also makes for really great gifts for holidays and for birthdays and for dog adoption days and all those things for your friends and family who also have dogs. Cheap, easy for you to do, and you can make them holiday specific too. I just went and I bought holiday fabric so I can make Christmas presents for everybody. Cheap, easy way, lots of fun. And then if you've got like kids or other people around who just want like a little relaxing project, they can tie them for you. You don't even have to do all the work. It's a great way to be functional with how you are creating toys for your dogs and helping with their enrichment. And then it just changes with you as your dog is going to chew on it and play with it and change what you're doing and how you're doing it. So highly recommend creating these. Very easy for you to make. Again, all you have to do is trim off those little fringe pieces on the sides, tie them together, and you're good to go. You can put things inside if you want. You can leave it alone. You can then remake as many of these as you want. You can give them as gifts. Your dogs, most dogs will love them, and it just, you can do it holiday specific, you can do it season specific, you can go color specific, you have a color scheme, you can do it, you can do so many things. And bonus pro tip, if you are going to be making these, on Black Friday, a lot of the fabric companies put their fleece on major sale. Like fabric companies are going to be more expensive than going to like Walmart and getting them. So you can get them from wherever, but if you pay attention, you can get specific patterns very cheap on Black Friday sales. So just be mindful of that as you are creating these. Let me know if you're going to try this out. It's lots of fun. I highly recommend. And if you have fun twists on this, go ahead and let us know down in the comments as well. If you want more ideas for how to deal with your chewy toy puppies, go ahead and let me know. We are giving you daily tips to help navigate your dog life so that you can be the best dog pet parent that you can be while giving your dog the best life that you can. We'll see you in the upcoming episodes as Gemma wants to say hello.